Welcome back, guys, to Breakdowns and Bets. We're together. Why are we in the same room?
It's kind of weird, and I thought we had the COVID protocols or whatever, but here we are.
I don't think we're 6 feet apart. And if you guys are wondering if this is just staged and we're actually 6 feet apart, but like CGI, we're like a foot apart. And we're as uncomfortable about it as you are. But we did this podcast on Tuesday. We got it out. Everything was phenomenal. It was the best podcast we've ever done.
The best. It had 100% accuracy, just so you know.
100%. It was the best thing anyone has ever produced. And we had every technical issue the world has ever seen. At my house, my mixer went out, just was not working at all, was just dead. So then I had to use my iPhone. The iPhone kind of uploaded everything weird. Our stuff was all out of sync and we're talking over each other. So here we are in person, actually at the gym. We might have to give you guys a look around afterwards because you just see a brick wall. But if you look every which way, you gotta love editing. Anyway, we wanted to get something out. This is a really fun fight card that, just in terms of like the actual fights, the fighters on it, the bets. So we're not gonna go as in depth like as we usually do. Usually it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour type of situation. We're going to keep this to about 30, 40 minutes and just kind of run through stuff. But we wanted to give you our opinion and we want to give you our bets and get this out as soon as possible. So that said, before we get into all this stuff, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out the Patreon. We killed it last week with our bets on Bellator.
I think we were the only ones who called all the dog picks, all the upset picks on there. I think we said that about Sabah, we said that about Corrales, Bader, and then we didn't necessarily pick Benson, but we said if Benson has an ounce of fight, he's gonna win this. So
what we didn't say was that he was gonna get murdered like everybody else did. We said it's gonna be really, really close, and if Benson had any fight left in him, he wins that, and he fought his ass off and he won it. I usually actually don't check out other podcasts. It's just not something I do. Not for anything other than I just time and I don't really watch a lot of MMA programming. But I've checked out some of the other bets and breakdowns and predictions, and I saw a lot of people complaining about Bellator, like everybody lost their ass. And I was like, oh, I don't know the details on it, but I was like, oh, that was the one that we killed. We might have lost our ass on every other podcast ever, but that's not one of them. So that was a good one. But check out the Patreon. Our link is in the show notes. We give you all of our bets, all of our actual bets. We talk about all of the fights here, but we don't bet on all of those. So on the Patreon, you'll see my bets, Brandan bets, the love 'em, the like 'em picks, the prop bets, everything that we're actually going to put money on and what we actually like. And then, of course, Brandan gives you a regional breakdown of all the LFA, CFFC events and all of the good betting spots that aren't in the UFC. So, moving to this card, number one, who do we have, Brandan?
All right, so we got Marques-Gordon versus Denis Bondar.
Denis Bondar is new to the UFC. He's as Ukrainian as it gets. And I feel like he's out of a 1980s movie because a bunch of his fights are like old Kumite style, flat surface. This dude's not cage fighting. He's like fighting for his life in Russia somewhere. Good kickboxer. He has a really good lead left hook. He really likes to check hook. He likes to dip, roll a left hook. He likes to counter with his left hook. Overall, his striking is pretty good. He's definitely a striking-based fighter, but he really shines with that left hook. Wrestling is decent. I mean, he wrestles. It's he'll offensively wrestle. He doesn't look like a world beater, but the guys he's fighting aren't world beater status either. That's my biggest knock on him. For as good as he looks, and as much as I think I want to like him, especially later on in his career, depending on how he proves himself, he really has not fought a lot of people. And then on the other side of that, we've got Gordon.
Yeah, Marques-Gordon falls over. I'm sure he fell over at some point right now. The thing about Marques-Gordon, a lot goes on about his chin. People talk about his chin all the time. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be, especially when you see other people on this card. But he's not good. He just overextends on so many of his punches, almost so much that he's falling over himself. His takedown defense is horrible. I actually made a lot of money on him in his last fight against Figueiredo, but I think that was a lot less about him winning the fight and more so Figgy losing that fight. And I think Bondar, I can't wait to bet the other way against Bondar, but this isn't the fight to do it. You know, his wrestling is a little bit JV. It's not incredible, but it's going to be good enough to get Malcolm not out of there. But I think he's going to win. I think it's probably a boring decision. I think Malcolm's good enough and vet enough to stick around. But I think this is an easy one, guys. One of the better plays on the card. Now, I did want to say this because we did say this in the last video. Bondar has a win by an armbar. And this wasn't a fight, again, that like Kumite style. He made two bad decisions in that fight. First, heel hook from the top. He was on top, dropped for a heel hook, horrible decision. And in the second, he actually won the fight with an armbar from the top. But he was on top just pounding the guy. Could have won by ground and pound and decided to give up position and finish the armbar instead. So I think his decision making is not the best. But, you know, I think this is still a good spot for him here.
It's funny you talk about the decision making because, you know, on the other side of that, like, both guys don't have great decision making. And you talked about his fight with Figueiredo. Not Davis and Figueiredo, but what's his younger brother's name? Francisco or something, Figueiredo. Figueiredo just did camp with us, and in the main, that was the main thing that we focus on. Figueiredo is phenomenal everywhere. He goes for wild stuff. He goes for flying heel hooks, and it's just wild stuff. And you saw that with his brother as well. His brother should have beat Gordon, but he would be on top and jump to something and go to something and give up position. And again, like Brandon just said, that wasn't Figueiredo or Gordon winning that fight. That was Figueiredo losing that fight. So I definitely like that spot. My only issue is I don't know if I like a stoppage here. And I don't know if you're probably going to get some decent stoppage prop betting lines. I would avoid them because Brandon said that this could be a 3-round decision, but it could also be a 3-minute TKO of Dennis. So I wouldn't start betting props because it could go either way.
There's enough good stuff to parlay here where we don't have to get greedy with the props. All right, next up we have Jason Witt and Philip Rowe.
I said it. I love Philip Rowe as a fan. He has really good striking. We know him. I mean, Philip Rowe, he was from Arizona, and I don't even know how long he was here or what, but he was like the worst fighter to ever fight in Arizona. It was like, he lost to actually Roberto Young Ali, who is a really good boxer for MMA standards, but he, I think, was 0-2 starting his career. That was here in Arizona. But man, he moved to Florida, got really good at jiu-jitsu. His striking is clean. He's got a really long jab. He throws heat. His wrestling is not great, but he understands to get up off of the ground, to scramble. My knock on him against Witt is twofold. Well, my knock on him is twofold, and one of those is especially against Witt, and that's his wrestling. He doesn't defend wrestling well. He does not have good wrestling defense. And the other part of that is he's just not durable. I don't know how many times in his last fight he got kicked and would just fall over. He got clipped and would just fall over. He's not a durable human. I think part of that is he's 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. At 170 pounds, he's a stick. But I really like him. He lost his UFC debut, but he is tough as nails. He scrambles well. He's got a beautiful half-guard sweep from on bottom. And I really want to see him do well in the UFC if he can just worry about a little bit of those wrestling issues and a little bit of those durability issues. Against Witt, I don't know that durability is going to be a factor because Witt is not a good striker. But the wrestling, he could end up getting held down for 3 rounds.
Yeah, he totally could. And you know what? I think this line is going to be reflective of Phil's grappling match that he just had against Jonathan Perisma, where Perisma took him down and just held him. But, there's a couple of things that we're forgetting here. First of all, it's a fist fight. It's not a jiu-jitsu match. Second of all, Witt is not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a wrestler, and he's an open mat wrestler. So I think here's a really big thing in this fight. First of all, trusting Jason Wynn's chin to hold up over 15 minutes, like, I got to be careful with how much I'm moving my hands because the force created by my hands is probably rocking him this very minute. I mean, you guys want to talk about Chinny with Malcolm-Gordon? Like, this is the guy.
Times 100.
Times 100. And he's 35 years old, guys. We talk about that dividing line, the 35-year-old line. Now, here's the other thing, too. In the fight against Barberena, I actually picked Witt. I made money on Witt. I picked Witt. I said, that's actually like a kind of a clever play. Witt's decent. Barberena doesn't stop takedowns at all.
He falls and then gets up.
Yeah, he was almost so arrogant. Like, I'm so good, I'm just going to keep getting up, and then I'll put it on you later. At least Philip Rowe at least tries to defend the initial shot. We pretty much just saw this fight, right, against Koski, who's a better wrestler. He's younger. He's more durable, probably a better striker. And he defended the takedowns, made it to round 2, and then put it on him and put him out. So I think you give the younger, taller fighter. I don't think Witt's cage wrestling is world-class either. I think he's an open mat wrestler. He's going to have a tough time keeping Phil down. And then you get 3 rounds to just try one time touch that chin.
And there's a height differential. I mean, there's a huge height and reach differential. And Witt knows how to use that long jab well. And he fires Rowe. And he fires it well, and he fires it fast, and he fires it with bad intention. I really like Rowe. I think I might even like him for a stoppage, like at some point. I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're gonna bet him,
if you're gonna bet him, you may as well bet the stoppage. Because I honestly, if it goes to a decision,
probably Witt.
Yeah, it's probably Witt. But I think if you're gonna bet Rowe with a stoppage. I think that's the only way to do it right here. And then let's keep moving. Let's keep moving along.
All right, next up we got Danilo Marques and Jailton-Almeida.
Man, you hate Marques.
I hate Marques.
You hate Marques. You don't know him, but you hate him. It's like those celebrities on TV or something. You think you hate him, and you meet him, and you're probably really nice. He's probably a nice guy. Probably does a lot of stuff for his family. Really, really good friend.
Like a drug runner or something?
Yeah, maybe he's a drug runner, but I don't hate him as much. I like... he knows what he's good at. He knows what he needs to do. He's 6'6", he runs across the cage, he grabs a single leg, and he golf swings that really beautifully. He doesn't try and go double leg, push up against the fence. He knows how to use that, and he hits that golf swing single leg. As people try and recover, he jumps on their back. And he'll do it again and again and again. The issue is that he'll do it again and again and again until he gets really sleepy because he's old and his cardio is not great and he doesn't finish well. He gets there, he gets those positions, but he gets tired in those positions, and that's when he is on people's back attacking them. Almeida is a different animal, and I really, really, really like Almeida. And we saw him fight Saigid.
No, you're thinking the wrong one.
That's Harrison later. Sorry, we're running through these right now. I'm glad I have Brandon here to check me. But Almeida, we saw him on the Contender Series, and he fought a Russian.
Nasruddinov.
Yes. And, man, he went out there and took it to him. He was smart. He was calculated. He knew not to stay on his back. What do you think about... because we know you hate Danilo. What do you think about Almeida?
Well, I think the UFC is telling you who they want to win on this one. You got Marques, who is a known grappler, and then they gave him a guy who's a known grappler. So...
A younger, faster, better known grappler.
Yeah. I think really the big difference in this one's going to be the front kicks. If you notice on his Contender Series fight, he came out throwing a bunch of front kicks. Danilo doesn't really set up his takedowns. He just kind of runs in across the cage, goes for the takedown. So it's going to do one of two things. It's going to stop him from wanting to shoot in straight on, and then you get Almeida fighting at his pace, at his distance, where he can be offensive. The second thing it's going to do is put him out. Put Danilo to sleep. It's going to put him out. I just really think that this is Almeida's fight to lose, not Marques' fight to win. I don't think Marques presents even a little bit of danger here. He's 36 years old. He's not a great striker. Round 2, his wrestling is the worst thing I've ever seen. Round 1, he's fine. Round 2, forget it. And
in cardio.
Like, if Almeida was fighting a marathon runner, we might be having a different conversation here. But Marques is old and gets tired too, and is a jiu-jitsu guy just like Almeida. So I think personally, don't overthink this one. This is going to be a setup fight for Almeida to see if he's the real deal, and I think he is.
I think so. I think he is the real deal, And I think it will I think you bet Almeida, and I think if you want to get a little risky, you bet Almeida for the finish too. I think that's kind of a good
It's not
prop.
a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad prop. Get a little extra juice out of it for you.
All right, next up, we got Alexis Davis and Julia Stoliarenko.
Man. We're laughing at this because the other day I didn't tape this. All right, the other day I didn't tape it when we originally recorded it, and I've since taped a little bit because I said I would tape it before the fight so I could give my picks for the Patreon. So I did look at this a little bit more, and I stand by my decision. My decision. Alexis Davis is tough. She's got a good calf kick. Her wrestling is decent. She's older, but we always talk about age. For some reason, heavyweights and women don't age the same way. The women and the heavyweights can fight longer without their cardio and their chin being affected as much as the younger, lighter weight men. I don't get it. I don't know why. It just is a thing. Just, don't at me. So that's a thing. But Stoliarenko, she's got the armbar, the one-trick pony armbar, right? So we know that she's going to attack an armbar. You take her down, she's going for an armbar. She will pull guard and go for an armbar. She definitely has that. But she's physical, and she actually has good, I don't know if I'd call it good, but decent stand-up, Muay Thai. She's tough as nails. I don't think she is just that one-trick pony. I've had to tape her for fights before, and I think she's better than people give her credit for. I think her issue is, can she make it to the fight, or does she fall off the scale again?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty easy one in the other direction. I think Davis is, she's an ultra veteran. You guys love when I say ultra veteran, and we make a ton of money that way. She actually has really good eyes. She sees punches coming well. Whether she can actually get out of the way of them or not is a separate issue, but at least she sees them. The other thing I love is her leg kicks. I think she's got some of the best leg kicks, just timing, and actually the volume of the leg kicks. She actually keeps them up throughout the fight. Her jiu-jitsu is excellent. She actually did something really smart in a fight against Viviane Araujo. Got taken down, immediately went heel hook sweep, and came up on top and finished the round on top and won the round. So it shows me her fight IQ is on point, her conditioning's on point. She can throw hundreds of strikes. I think that Julia is just a little all over the place. She's a big, tough girl. And that's important, to be a big, physical, tough girl. But then when you fight another girl who's big and physical as well, but also has the fight IQ, the experience, I think this is going to be a blowout for Alexis Davis. Now, I'm not saying a finish or anything like that, but I think we see the levels here.
Okay, interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I see Stoliarenko going 0-3 because I think she's 0-2 right now, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Well, I'm curious. And Alexis Davis is on a skid as well. I think she's lost her last three.
Just one.
Is that it? Okay.
Close one to Penny Kinzad.
What do we got?
All right, next one I can't wait to talk about. We got Marc-Andre Barriault and Chidi-Njokuani.
Man. Do you want to talk about anything but Barriault for the rest of the day? Or...
That's all I want. And it's not even because I think he's the greatest fighter. I love him. He's just awesome.
It's funny, as I was watching this, I'm watching Barriault and I'm going, what is this guy good at? I still don't even know what I'm impressed with about him or what I should be impressed about him outside of he's just durable and in your face and tough and he's there and won't die. And he's definitely a jack of all trades, but you've heard me say it before. The worst insult you can give a fighter is that they're tough. And not that you don't want to be tough, but if you ask about a fighter and the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, they're tough, that means they're not a great wrestler or a phenomenal striker or super fast or athletic or a great finisher. There's all these other things that they could be first, but you chose tough because they're not any of those other things first. It doesn't mean that they're not good at other things, but that's the thing. That means they know how to take a beating, and generally they take a beating and are there long enough for the other person to tire out and take less of a beating. And that's what I see with Barriault. Is I don't think he's bad anywhere. I think he's tough. I think he fights well. I just don't know that I'm wowed by him or that I think he's phenomenal or is going to win a lot of fights. Now, that said, a lot of times the tough guy beats the technician, and that's kind of what we have here with Njokuani, is you got a really good dynamic striker, fast, athletic, moves well, good elbows, good knees, good range, but Njokuani usually loses to grapplers, and I don't know that Barriault is going to give that grappling look that is going to really affect Njokuani. And I think Njokuani, coming off of the Contender Series, they want more strikers. They want more athletic, dynamic guys, and they want less guys like Barriault. And I think the UFC is hoping that Njokuani, because Barriault's going to stand with him, he is going to give the look that Njokuani needs to either look amazing and knock him out and starch him and just pick him apart, or that's going to grind him out and he's going to end up losing because of it. So they're setting him up. They're saying, hey, we'll give it to you. Now you got to go perform and take it. I don't know if I like Njokuani for the win here yet. I'll post that on the Patreon. This is one of those that I really battle with because I think Barriault could win it. Njokuani should win it, but Barriault could win it.
I totally agree. Like, I think the thing that's the wow factor about MAB, Marc-Andre Barriault, is that while he's waiting for his opponent to just fizzle out, he's still sometimes winning rounds and putting pressure. That's the wow factor to me. Not that he's like the most beautiful striker. His wrestling leaves a lot to be desired, and he's not some jiu-jitsu expert. He's got a lot of holes in his game, but he's just grimy. He's in your face. He just does it. And when we see guys that are so beautiful and they move well, it's because guys are willing to do that with them, right? And they're intimidated to enter the pocket. Andre Barriault was willing to enter the pocket against one of the scariest looking human beings on earth in Dalcha Lungiambola, right? He stood right in his face. He held him in the clinch as close as he can be. I just like Marc-Andre to just make it just a dogfight. And my eyes are telling me Chidi by a mile, right? He's so much more fast and dynamic and should light him up. But Chidi finds ways to lose fights that he should win, and Marc-Andre finds ways to win fights that he should lose. I mean, who hits harder than Dalcha and who's more explosive than Dalcha? And he stood right in his face and said, let's go, let's do it, and put on a masterclass. So for me, this is completely biased. You don't have to listen to me on this one. I love Marc-Andre Barriault. He's on my list. I love this guy.
He's the only one left on the list.
Yeah, and maybe not for long. Yeah.
Choi is gone. Kroot is gone. Who is it? Was it Jinyu Frey? No, Jinyu.
Well, Jinyu Frey, she's coming up.
Jinyu.
Mason Jones.
Mason Jones. So you keep your list.
All right. Next up, we got Hakeem Dawodu versus Marques-Trizano.
Could you go the rest of your life without watching Dawodu fight?
Yeah. I always hope for more from him, and he just sits there staring.
He's one of those guys who is... He's so technical. He's good. He moves well. His distance, his range. Like, he really has all of the things you want in a fighter, except... No, as a coach, he has all of the things you want in a fighter. As a fan, he's missing the one thing you want from a fighter, and that's excitement. That's like going out there and throwing it out there and going. On the other side of that, you have Trizano, who is technical. He's technically solid. He comes from the Tiger Schulman's guys out of Jersey, New York City, kind of area. Who you've got just a lot of good solid strikers out of there, but they've got good wrestling. They're overall they're really well rounded. I like that camp. You don't see a ton of guys coming out of it, but the ones you do see are always really solid. But Trizano has fight. He's in your face. He's going. He is going to try and take the fight to Dawodu, who is going to try and flick a jab and move and flick a jab and move. And I think they're so evenly matched that I think nothing more than volume is going to win this fight for Trizano. I don't know. I don't even know if he needs to land a punch, because I think the volume enough with how low volume Dawodu is. I think Trizano wins it. I think an easy bet is over 1.5.
Yep.
Maybe over 2.5. Fight goes the distance. These guys do not finish fights. I think out of the two of them, their last 10 fights, I think maybe one of them has been finished inside the distance. This fight is not ending early. find that prop bet over half a round, over a round and a half, over two, whatever. But I think I like Trizano to win it, and I absolutely love the over 1.5 or 2.5 on this one.
I'm going to echo the exact same sentiment. I mean, I'm going to choose volume, length over the guy who sits and stares. Dawadou finds a way to make every fight super, super close just by reacting. He's a counter puncher. He reacts. He'll, try to pick at little parts. Trizano's going to take the fight to him. I don't love Trizano enough to put him in anything huge, but I think the over 1.5, man, that's a parlay builder. That's a great piece right there.
And if you guys want to order food or grab a pizza or go to the bathroom, this is the fight to go do that, because
now it's going to end in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy knockout by Dawadou. Alrighty, next up we got Miles-Johns versus John Castaneda.
Tell us about John Castaneda first. We kind of know. I feel like people probably know Miles-Johns a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I think he's had some better billings on the cards that we've seen him on. He's got a couple knockouts. Tell us about John Castaneda.
Yeah, John Castaneda is a really interesting character. He spent a lot of time in Combate Americas, down here in Arizona and Mexico, all over the place. He is a very crafty fighter. The thing that I like most about him is his switch stance, and he just seems so comfortable. I heard somebody today talking about how bad he is, and I don't know how with two eyes you can say this kid is bad. He's not bad. He does everything well. His striking is clean. His punches are straight. He's comfortable. And that's the thing that I like the most about him. And not a lot of guys are comfortable with Miles, right? He stands in this stance that kind of builds the tension. Is he going to strike? Is he going to wrestle? Is he going to throw this big overhand right? And even for 3 rounds, as Castaneda got beat up by Nathaniel Wood, man, he's just calm. He breathes. He sees things. He let Eddie Wineland, with his crazy style, tee off on him. Just said, okay, now it's my time, and then he put him out. I think if there's ever a good dog pick on this card, this is a great one. A guy who's not going to be scared, intimidated by Miles-Johns, who does the right decisions, can wrestle a little bit, not crazy. I think Castaneda volume and just being in the fight, I think he could really win this. And the last thing is, Johns, I always worry about volume. The thing that he loves is that calf kick. But Castaneda fights primarily in the southpaw stance, which is going to get rid of the calf kick, right? So he's going to have to start working other things. And I just like the volume on Castaneda here.
I'm with you. I like Castaneda. He's smooth. You can't fluster him. I feel like the people that Johns has beaten, not all of them, but his big wins, he could fluster. He swings heavy. He swings big. And a lot of times off of those grappling exchanges. I think that's when he caught Kevin Natividad, was off of that. I think Natividad's shot came up, and it was after some exchanges. And I think Johns is very good. And he has fought really, really good competition his entire career. His 3rd or 4th fight, he's fighting, I think it was Levi Moles we were talking about in his 4th fight. At the time, Levi was only 5 or 6-0, something like that. But if you look at him now, I think he's 16-3. Really a solid guy. Johns has a lot of experience at this point in the UFC. I think he's on his 4th or 5th fight. Castaneda doesn't quite have as much, but I like the smoothness of Castaneda against the rigidness of Miles-Johns in this fight, coupled with the volume and the stance. I think this is Johns' fight to lose as well. I think they're setting Johns up
for a win.
Yeah, for a good win. And if you're gonna pick a dog, I think Castaneda is a good dog. But I also think the over is a good one on this one too. These are 2 durable guys. This is going over a round. I think it probably is going over a round and a half. Look at Bovada. They're even doing some over half round type of stuff. If you can find something like that, it's not going to be great odds. You throw that into another parlay that is, you throw that into a parlay with a Trizano, Dawadou over, and then something you're really confident on whether to win later on in the card to just add some juice to it.
Yeah, so I think we're both going Castaneda here, which is really weird. I know Miles should win. I like Castaneda, maybe something small.
Yeah, and that's not, just so you were clear, Castaneda's a dog here, and he should be a dog here. On all things, you really break the fight down. This is if you're comparing apples to apples, Miles-Johns wins. We're comparing apples to John Castaneda over here, who switches stances.
Then it's manzanas.
Yeah, what? Yeah, what are you talking that language for? Man, I need to get my Trump pad out. I don't even know what he said. So yeah, but I think that Castaneda, if you're looking for a dog, this is the one to bet. If you're looking for safety, this is not that bet. The over is safer on this one, but Castaneda is a dog, and he should be treated as such.
All right, next up we got Julian-Erosa versus Steven Peterson.
Man, we could talk about this fight for an hour, or I could say I can't see a way Steven Peterson wins this. I just, again, I don't mean it to be rude. I don't mean it to be derogatory. But Peterson's best attribute is his toughness. He is tough. He's pretty well conditioned. He hits hard. He comes forward. And he's a blue-collar fighter, man. He's got a lot of wins. He was losing, though, to, was it Adriano Martins?
Bravo?
No, yeah, Bravo. Yeah. In his last fight, Brandon's going to look it up.
Chase Hooper, Martin Bravo.
Yeah, Martin Bravo, and not his last fight. Yeah, it was his last fight.
Chase Hooper, his last fight.
Oh, jeez. He's, tough enough, and he ended up hitting with that spinning back fist and, kind of caught him right there. But I thought he was losing that whole fight up until that point. I really like, Erosa in this fight. I think his movement, his style, he's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good striking. He's a little wild, a little awkward. I don't know if I really like his striking sometimes or if I really hate it sometimes because he's really kind of all over the place.
Hands down, just...
Yeah, hands down. But, man, he's tough. He beat Jourdain just recently. He beat Woodson. He knows how to win. He is the ultra vet. He's that vet guy that we talk about who knows how to win. This is the vet pick. Pick Erosa. I love him for the win.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the UFC like 3 separate times. He's fought all over the world. He fought Paddy Pimblett. I thought he should have beat Paddy Pimblett. Man, Julian-Erosa is the guy you see on everybody's record. They all have a loss to Erosa. The dude is just amazing, sometimes. And then he gets humbled and his chin gets checked. But I don't think Steven Peterson's the guy to expose him here. I think his body is so long. He does everything well enough. Like, don't overthink this one, guys. This one's clearly Julian-Erosa here. Alrighty, next up we got Bryan Battle versus Tresean Gore.
I'm not even talking about this because we went over this the other day. I have not seen either of these guys fight. I didn't see. I think I saw Tresean fight Ryder. Right? He fought Ryder.
He did.
So I saw that one. Ryder looked good early and then really faded hard in that. And we know Ryder, he's come down for some camps to help out with your boy, Eric Anders, with some of his camps. But other than that's the only time I've seen either of these guys. So I'm staying mute on this. Yeah,
to me, this one is the easiest dog on the card. And I actually might play this one pretty big. So you got Bryan Battle, right? Bryan Battle, I think, is excellent. I think that he is one of these guys that sticks around long enough for you to just kill yourself, and then he's going to win the fights. But he does it with volume. His range is actually really, really good. And, I think we've already seen this fight. He fought Andre Petrovsky on the Ultimate Fighter, right? Big power guy. He's a wrestler. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. And Bryan Battle lost the first round. Second round, came back and ninja choked him, put him out. He's just high volume. He's got great cardio. But his fight IQ is amazing. He does actually a really good job of stopping the shots, the initial shots. And then when he's taken down, he's popping right back up. Petrovsky's just good. Petrovsky got him down, got his mount, got him to the mount and started working from there. But Bryan Battle is so much better than people think that he is. And if you want to look at his amateur record, he's got wins over Impa. He's got a win over Cody Brundage, who's in the UFC now. And then the most telling one is he's got a split decision with Billy Elikana, who everybody's going to know pretty soon. That kid is so talented. And that's probably the worst style matchup for Bryan Battle, right? A high cardio guy who's super long and high volume. Like, he went split decision with him. I think he's the side here. I have more fights than Tresean Gore. He's got like 7 fights or something. He's not as good of a wrestler as Petrovsky is. He doesn't really set traps. He just kind of throws calf kicks and overhands, and I like the volume. I like the distance. I like the fight IQ. to me, this is the perfect setup of a guy who's an underdog that can go and win, and I think he's getting better every day. He's getting better.
Love it, love it, love it. There you have it, from Brandon's mouth, not mine, because I got nothing on it.
All right, next up we got Sam Alvey and Brendan Allen.
So, do we like Allen again?
Yeah, I think we do sometimes. Depends on the day.
Allen is so good. He's good everywhere. He's got good fight IQ. He hits hard. His striking is good. His takedowns are decent. You know, his wrestling's okay. His jiu-jitsu is solid. And then he jumps for heel hooks against Curtis and goes full ass hat. And what? So, man, I just want to run up and just like cup check him. Just kick him right in the cup after that. But he's not fighting. Well, he's fighting Sam Alvey. And Sam Alvey has lost 17 of his last 4 fights. Like, I don't even know how many fights he's lost in a row. I think it's 6 in a row. Might be 7 in a row.
It's 6 in a row, and he had 1 draw in there also.
Yes. And I'm just wondering, how is the UFC keeping him around? And I like Alvey. He's seems like a good guy. Honestly, he comes to throw down. He's not super boring. I mean, he's a solid guy to watch. But, man, with that many losses in a row, and he was supposed to be fighting Phil Hawes. And that was a fight to showcase Phil Hawes. And I almost wonder if Phil Hawes was training with Brendan Allen for Sam Alvey, because they trained together. And then Phil Hawes got pulled. Brendan Allen went in. And, honestly, I think it's an even easier fight for Allen, because the issue with Phil Hawes, and I think Phil Hawes would have won that fight, but if we really want to break this down a little bit, Hawes gets tired, and Hawes is a wrestler, and so if Phil takes Sam Alvey down 4 times, Alvey's probably getting up 4 times. His cage wrestling is probably his strongest attribute, and his ability to get up after being taken down on the cage is slightly better than that. Striking is wide. He's a little stiff. He looks like he's 68. In terms of fighting wise, just his stiffness, not his actual appearance. But Brendan Allen is fast, clean striker, but doesn't have cardio issues. So I really like Allen here. I don't know that there's a path to victory for Alvey. And, they're fighting at 205. I think that's the only thing that will go in Alvey's favor. Or actually, I don't even know if it will, because he's been cutting for 85 already. Yeah. I don't see a path for Alvey. I think it'll probably go, over a round and a half, maybe even the distance. So,
yeah, Alvey knows how to stick in there, but I say don't get greedy on this one. Just take B. Allen straight up. Don't get greedy, because he could find his back and finish him early. He could KO him. Alvey's tough and durable, but I think B. Allen is just, put him in the parlay.
I like it. Moving along. Like we said, we're trying not to rush this too much, but we need to get this done and up so you guys can watch it. And like I said, this has been a day and a half of hell with the technical issues that we had with this last one.
I thought I was the bad technical one, and our production team is really dropping the ball here.
Our production team, my wife today asked me, do you want to outsource that stuff to do? And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could.
All right, next up, we got Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston-Harris.
Man, let me hear your thoughts on Rakhmonov.
Okay, my thoughts on Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov's not the second coming like everybody thinks he is. I heard somebody say he's better than Khamzat Chimaev. You are crazy. You are nuts. Like, stop talking right now. But that being said, he's calm. He's patient. He's tall. He does everything well. I don't think he's an expert in any area, but he does everything well. My only concern is that he gets hit a lot. And he gets hit from errant punches. He gets hit from straight punches. He just gets hit a lot. And his dead eyes, he's just like a mannequin. He's got these dead eyes, and he just goes, oh, okay. I watched a lot of Carlston-Harris film, and, I think the things that make him great, this like crazy, wild striking that we saw against Impa and these submissions, I think the things that are going to make him win this fight are going to make him great will also gas him out in one round if he can't finish Shavkat. I like the patience of Shavkat here. I like the skills of Shavkat. I think he's getting better at Sanford. And if Carlston decides to fight reserved, like he probably should for a 3-round war against Shavkat, I think then Shavkat pieces him up, the cleaner, technical, just better overall fighter. So I think you have a Hail Mary in Carlston round 1 KO, or you got a complete domination by Shavkat here.
Man, I am not on that Shavkat train. You know, there's a couple things that worry me about him.
Are you on the Shavkat train?
Oh, man. We're throwing dad jokes out there, and we're not even a dad. One of us. Well, I'm a dad. The thing that worries me about him is he's square, and he's stiff, and he gets hit. You talked about it. He gets hit by hooks, and the only thing Harris throws are these slapping, looping, weird hooks. Oddly enough, they're effective. We saw him drop Impa with them. We see him hit people with them. But, you know, just Shavkat is so stiff, so square, zero head movement, right? But he's clean. His boxing is clean. He's got a stiff jab. He's a European-style boxer. He's a very clean boxer, but he gets hit too much. That's part of it. The real part of it that worries me is he's not as good of a wrestler as people think he is. And he had a hard time. He couldn't take down...
was it Alex Oliveira?
It was Alex Oliveira. And he tried to take Alex Oliveira down. And he was... Well, first of all, he was just getting hit, just sniped a couple of times in that fight. It was pretty early, only a couple of times. But he couldn't take Oliveira down. And Oliveira is not a phenomenal wrestler. We saw Oliveira outstrike Cowboy Cerrone. Cerrone blast doubled him in the second or third round, took him down, armbarred him, got the submission. And... you know, Rakhmonov, wasn't able to do that. And again, he didn't try for a very long time, but he ended up, grabbed a head, jumped to a guillotine, got the finish. But I was surprised. I was expecting him to just ragdoll him in that same fashion. And then he fought, who was that, Prazeres? Yeah. Right after that, who he dominated. But Prazeres is 5'6". He's 41 years old. Like, those were two gimme fights for him in the UFC. On the other side, Harris, and this is what I was thinking, fought Sagit earlier, fought some good Russians. He fought some good fighters. He's finished most of them. I am not, if you're going to bet somebody, you bet Rakhmonov. I am not going to bet Rakhmonov. I'm not betting Harris either, because I could really see Harris stealing some thunder here. And there's so many good bets on this card. I'm not touching one of these for a win. What I love here is that the fight doesn't go the distance. Neither out of Rakhmonov is 14-0. Not a single one of those fights has gone the distance. Harris is, I think he's 17-4, and off the top of my head, I believe only a couple of his fights out of 21 fights have gone the distance. This fight is going to be contested within 15 minutes, and it is going to be finalized before that final bell goes. Bet the under. That's my bet here. It's like I said with Caldwell the other day with Barzola. Caldwell was supposed to win. Everybody thought Caldwell was going to win. And I was like, there is something about Caldwell that I don't want to touch because I just don't know about it. And I didn't say bet Barzola. I was saying, hey, hands off. And Caldwell ended up Caldwelling, and there was just some weirdness. And that is my worry of this, is Rakhmonov, is he that good? And I'm not sure that he is yet. And I think he still needs to prove it against a formidable opponent. And I think if he beats Harris the way that he should beat Harris, which is dominatingly, then okay, now I'm sold. But I'm not sold off of his win over Oliveira and Prazeres. I'm not there yet.
Fair enough. I'll keep eating it up. Alrighty, next up we have the co-main event. We got Puna Soriano versus Nick Maximov.
Man, I like this fight. I like this fight a lot. I think it's going to be fun. I like it to bet. Who do you...
Well, this is a really interesting one, and I'm glad almost we've had a little delay because I've got to hear people talk about this. And
I need to interrupt that as well because I have heard the same thing. Again, I don't usually watch other podcasts and other stuff, and I've seen a lot of hype around this, and I feel like people are out of their fucking minds.
Oh well, then we're gonna say the same thing. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Maximov. They think is Maximov.
Oh, I thought you were saying we... No, yeah, that's
Maximov.
what everybody thinks is Maximov. And I'm like, no, I'm screaming Puna. Like, What
are
are
these people talking
thinking?
about? There, I see people saying, "Well, Puna can't wrestle. He can't defend a takedown." So one of his people and one of my teammates, Jared Braun, actually, he used to room with Puna in college at Wartburg College. And if you guys don't know Wartburg, and maybe I'm saying it wrong. I think that's right.
That's Wartburg, yeah.
Wartburg. Yeah. They're like they're a Division III powerhouse. They're like Penn State of D3. They're like phenomenal. They win every year the team title. And what he told me was in Puna's last year wrestling.
Really quickly, I believe that's where Brian Hamper went too.
Oh, no
I think
way.
it might have been there. We'll have to double check that. So, Brian, if you're listening, fact check us.
And we know that you are. So what he told me is that year Puna beat the national champions. He beat the national champions during the regular season. He ended up having a really bad tournament and finished, I think, 7th or 9th. I think it's 7th. Puna can wrestle. You guys are crazy. You think Puna can't defend a single leg? He's an All-American wrestler at a phenomenal like heritage college. You think he can't defend a single leg? Like, really? Maximov, they're doing Maximov.
Hold on. Well, let's talk about the takedown defense really quickly, even before we move on. So Puna can wrestle. Maximov is not. Wrestling in high school. I think I heard that he wrestled in junior college a little bit. So there's that. His out in the open wrestling is not great. It's really subpar.
He shoots from Russia.
Yeah, he shoots from Russia. But he's actually a decent cage wrestler. That's where he gets his takedowns. Puna is really good at staying off of the cage. He really understands not staying on the cage, and he will throw and he'll glide off as to not get countered. But then if he's near the cage, you'll see him just straight up not even fight, shuffle, kind of run right back in the center. He's really aware of that cage presence and his positioning on the cage and where he's at. And it's not like we don't see him up against a cage getting held and grinded out. So keep going with it. Yeah. But I just want to make that note before we move on.
Well, and what's the great equalizer to everything? What makes you want to wrestle less than this one and this one right in your face with this massive power, great hips? Like, I think this is just a horrible matchup for Maximov. I think they're still doing Nick Diaz a favor. They got him to fight. They got in Sano and they got in Maximov. Like, I think this is a blowout winner. Like, Puna is very talented. And I was on the B. Allen train when he fought Puna. Mm-hmm. I spoke out against Puna. I was the only one in the world. And here I'm like, you guys, stop overthinking this one. Nick Maximov is not a marathon runner. He's not a crazy cardio machine. That's all I can see. Like, he's not a marathon runner. Puna is going to put him out in 1 or 2, so if we even need to see the cardio. Yeah. But he's just better everywhere.
Yeah, Maximov's hands are really subpar. I don't see a path to victory. I mean, not to say I don't see a path to victory. We know what it is. Get him against the fence, drag him down, hang on him.
Get him tired if you can.
Yeah, do that for 2 or 3 rounds. Of course, that is his path to victory. I just don't see him being able to do it. So I'm yelling Puna from the rooftops with you.
Yeah, I think that's the easy one.
And then what do we have? Main event coming up?
Main event time.
Sean Strickland, Jack Hermannson. Strickland said he wanted to be the first person to kill somebody in the cage. I believe him.
And I believe he does it here. Sorry, Hermannson.
Yeah, I don't think Hermannsson's going to be the first body that we see coming out. But, Strickland also said that he got into it with Jake Paul. That was a thing. I think Strickland is wild. I think he says a lot of crazy stuff. And I think the UFC wants it. I think the UFC wants a crazy voice these days to start trying to push because they need some contenders for Israel Adesanya. He's fought everybody. So they need some people to come up and really start building that division. I think this is that. I think this is a divisional building fight. They're trying to showcase these guys because they don't have a lot of 185ers to really put against Izzy. But more importantly to the UFC is to sell pay-per-views and to sell tickets with the Izzy fight. So they've got to build somebody to shove them into Izzy. I think Strickland's the guy. I think they want Strickland to win. I think they're hoping that he wins. I don't think he wins, and I don't say that on a Hermansson's going to murder him level. I say I am leaning Hermansson in this fight. Strickland's a pretty good striker. Really, even more specifically, a pretty good boxer. Really gorgeous jab, sharp jab. He's narrow. He kind of Philly rolls it quite a bit. High volume. He presses forward. He keeps that jab going, and then he starts following it up with a right hand. Really good volume. Very calm. I think his calmness is actually going to get him in trouble a little bit. I think he's a little too calm and I think he gets hit with stuff because he's so calm. And more, I think importantly, is he gets calf kicked because he's so calm and just not really checking kicks, not really in a stance. He's just upright. On the other side of that, we have Hermannson, who, well, actually even Strickland, not a great wrestler, pretty decent jiu-jitsu. So we'll just kind of throw that out there. Very good moving forward. Very, very, very mediocre, if not kind of bad moving backwards. Does not handle pressure well. Not that he doesn't handle it well, like he crumbles. He's just not very good at offensively fighting moving backwards, and he gets hit a lot moving backwards. We saw him look amazing against Uriah Hall moving forward. In that third round, Uriah Hall started pushing him backwards, and he did not look great in those situations. Hermannson is good moving forward as well. He does not do well moving backwards. That's not his thing. He has a high guard. He has pretty decent basics when it comes to striking, and throws heavy, throws hard, is not afraid to throw. But he needs to get this fight to the ground. He's going to push. He's going to move forward. He's going to grab Strickland. If he shoots, it's a bad idea. He needs to kind of shoot, come up, clinch, hang on Strickland. I really, really think Hermannson is going to hang on him and throw enough and move him backwards. Just the mistakes that Strickland does with his chin in the air these days. Those last couple fights, his chin went from like low to middle to high as he's throwing, and he's reaching with his hands. He's just getting hit more and more. And I think over the course of 25 minutes, him getting hit that much out of just sloppiness, and then Hermannson hanging on him, I really, really, really lean toward Hermannson to get the win. And the guys that Hermannson is losing to is Jared Cannonier. He's losing to Marvin Vettori. I mean, these are the top guys in the division who are better wrestlers than Strickland and have way more power than Strickland. I think strength of schedule goes to Hermannson, and I think somebody's getting off the hype train on this.
I just disagree, and I wanted to agree with you. I watched the last 3 Strickland fights, and I watched Hermannson against Edmund Shabazian. And every time Shabazian threw, Jack waits for the combo to finish, and then he throws. He doesn't throw as people throw. And the problem when you fall into that trap with Strickland is he throws so many sneaky jabs and back fists. He's constantly putting something in your face. So these two forces are both going to try to meet in the middle and see who can come forward first. I think Strickland's tougher. I think he's bigger. And that jab just, you said the power, but he thuds people.
Yeah.
His jab thuds people. Uriah Hall looked like he wanted to cry the entire fight. Like, how can I get out of here and avoid this beating? And I think Uriah is a much cleaner, better, more veteran striker than Hermannson is.
Times 1,000.
Times 1,000. And he made Uriah forget about calf kicks. And actually, when Strickland throws kicks, his kicks are awesome. When they're powerful, he just hits so freaking hard, man. I like Strickland. I think he spars a lot. I think he's been in every situation. He's seen every look on planet Earth. I just don't think people are used to that style and that volume. And to me, this is another pretty easy one. I think we got to go Sean Strickland by a mile.
Interesting. I think Hermannson's going to get the upset. And... and then I don't know what the UFC wants to do because they want to build Strickland. They want to build the division, and I think Hermannsson's gonna get in the way of them doing that. So, well, you guys, that's it. What do? We clocked at about 54 minutes, about an hour less than what we originally did, and that was still an hour long. You guys, remember, check out our Patreon and the show links, and let us hear your thoughts. We love your comments. We love chatting with you guys. We love the fights. Oh, and on the Patreon, in case you guys are curious, we've got a Discord. And that is the most fun thing ever. Watching the fights, talking with all the people, hanging out. We've got threads in there for NFTs. We've got threads in there for hockey, for MMA. Everything you can bet on and any way you can make money, we have a thread on it in our Discord. And it's a lot of fun. We also give a lot of stuff away. We were both cornering Vanessa Demopoulos recently in her UFC fight. We're giving a ton of stuff away from that. Everything from the UFC jackets that we walked out with, to bags, to shirts, to...
We're actually auctioning off a weekend with Vanessa, too, so...
No, that's not happening. So you guys, yeah, Brandon, you're cut off. All right, you've had too much water over. What are we drinking over here? We got Proud Source spring water today. LaCroix has set us down for the day, so we picked up a new sponsor. So, well, that is it. We'll see you guys next time. Let us know what you think, and good luck on your bets this weekend, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. Peace.